I came here today just to tell the truth, so hopefully we can get down to the bottom of this. I'm 100%, the charges against me are 100% false, and hopefully due to time, we'll start to see that.
Man, this timeline is crazy, man.
I know. So many things coming at one time.
The Diddy story has devolved into a tornado of startling accusations, damning proof, and devastating revelations. This is the unfolding drama of one of the most significant figures in the music industry, and the accusations against him are nothing short of astounding. From leaked memoirs to enigmatic recordings, the entire story is rife with intriguing betrayal and unresolved questions, with the late Kim Porter at its core. It seems like a story taken directly out of a scandalous Hollywood screenplay, but it is not fiction.
We're not done. This investigation is ongoing, and I encourage anyone with information about this case to come forward and to do it quickly.
The most recent revelation is a purported memoir credited to Kim Porter. The book Kim's Lost Words, written by Diddy's ex-partner and the mother of 3 of his children, has gone viral online and is purportedly filled with allegations of physical abuse, coercion, and really unsettling behavior on Diddy's side. But here's the twist. In a shocking change of events, Diddy's children have publicly come forward to echo their legal team's strong denial of the book's validity, calling it an obvious fake. They have called the memoir a horrible lie.
What his team is trying to do is get the public to assume that the government is leaking some of this negative information about him, like that Cassie video. But the reality is, he's got a lot of enemies, and I really don't believe it's the government.
In a united statement, Quincy Christian and the twins Jesse and Delilah vehemently denied the allegations made in the book. They said their late mother was a light of kindness and love, someone who should be remembered for her strength rather than being dragged into the murky waters of conspiracy theories. They also insisted that the medical examiner's official cause of death was natural and untarnished by foul play, and that their mother should not be defined by lies. Their statement read, "Our mother deserves to rest in peace." It was a heartfelt and moving plea, but not everyone agreed.
Well, Kim Porter, that is Diddy's ex, who's also the mother of his 3 of his children,
Right.
has detailed the alleged abuse that she suffered at his hands.
Oh, no.
And this is all in a memoir.
Whether true or not, the memoir's contents create a bleak picture of Diddy and Porter's relationship, claiming years of emotional suffering, physical abuse, and manipulation. According to one passage, Porter was hospitalized after a violent altercation that left her with a fractured arm, only to wake up to discover Diddy by her side as if nothing had occurred. The story of the book reaches its terrifying climax when Porter, in her last days, purportedly texts friends cryptic messages implying peril, saying, "He got me." According to one letter, these unconfirmed assertions have sparked a flurry of conjecture. Diddy's lawyer hasn't held back in denouncing the book as not only fraudulent but also extremely disrespectful, contending that the whole thing is an effort to damage Porter's reputation, legacy and use her name for financial gain. But even though the official story says that she died of natural causes, rumors of something darker have persisted ever since the news of her death broke. Skeptics have pointed out contradictions and raised questions that no one seems to want to address, and now that these claims are coming up again, those rumors have intensified into a deafening roar.
You know what I'm saying? Just with this Cassie thing, I didn't know her, but I knew somebody like her, and that was Kim Porter. I didn't know Cassie, but I knew somebody who was going through the same thing she was going through, and that was Kim Porter.
The controversy surrounding the memoir has also brought attention to Diddy and Porter's nearly 2-decade-long relationship, during which the two experienced moments of unquestionable love and affection. However, insiders assert that their time together was anything but idyllic, and friends of the couple have described a relationship tainted by control and jealousy. Diddy's possessiveness, according to one anonymous source, frequently resulted in heated disputes with Porter since he didn't want her to have anyone else and made her feel stuck and unable to live her life fully. The source asserted, but he also failed to treat her fairly. And then there are the tapes. Oh, the tapes. Diddy's ex-friend Courtney Burgess has come out and claimed to have recordings that might completely tear this case apart, according to Burgess. Porter gave him these videos prior to her death, and they purportedly included film of private gatherings with Diddy and a number of other well-known people. There are disturbing claims in the descriptions of these recordings that some of the individuals seemed to be in compromised states and were not aware that the cameras were recording. Since then, Burgess has given the authorities access to these tapes, and their existence has been crucial to the developing legal drama.
Kim had took the cork, you know where you open up wine? The corkscrew. She took the corkscrew and caught him on his wrist defending himself. And he almost, I know he tore some ligaments, but he almost hit an artery or came close to the artery or either scratched it or cut it a little bit because he just kept bleeding.
When asked about the tapes, Ver remained cautious but confirmed that they involve multiple celebrities and paint a disturbing picture of what went on behind closed doors. All were victims, he said cryptically, and they didn't know what was being done to them. This statement has left many wondering just how deep this rabbit hole goes. The legal proceedings have already taken a drastic turn with Berg's subpoena testifying before a grand jury outside the courthouse.
Well, you know, he get the trafficking because he took her to different states and had her perform acts with different, male and different people, sometimes against her will.
However, the tapes are only one piece of the puzzle. Investigators have reportedly received the memoir, or at least an unedited copy of it. If it turns out to be genuine, it could be a damning piece of evidence in the expanding case against Diddy. The book allegedly contains in-depth descriptions of how he planned his gatherings and used his power to control people around him. Porter reportedly felt she was being used as a pawn in Diddy's games and forced into situations from which she was unable to escape, according to one passage. Naturally, DS' legal team has strongly denied all of this, dismissing the memoir as a work of fiction and arguing that the timing of its release is not coincidental, claiming this is a bogus attack that is part of a larger attempt to damage their client's reputation. Diddy's lawyer said, "We are confident that the truth will come out and exonerate Mr. CMS, but it seems like the walls are closing in on the music mogul with every new revelation."
He broke him, let's say allegedly, but it was told by people in her camp that he broke Kim's nose on a yacht. So Cassie's story is Kim's story. Cassie's book is Kim's book.
Kim Porter's family's participation is adding to the drama. Although her kids have come out in support of their father, Porter's close friends and family have not been so ready to brush the accusations aside. Albie Shaw, Porter's ex-partner and the father of her oldest son, has demanded a thorough investigation into her death and alluded to a wider conspiracy, implying that Porter's premature death was more complicated than the official accounts state. His unsupported claims have fueled an already raging fire.
Bruh, when y'all look at this thing and saying force, y'all think that he probably threatened to beat her, threatened to do something like that. That ain't what force is. It could come from the mentality. He put her in a certain position, in a certain situation, and a certain time in her life.
Meanwhile, there is division among the public. Social media has turned into a battlefield where supporters and detractors clash over every new piece of information, and as more information comes to light, it's evident that this story is far from over. Some people are supporting Diddy, claiming that he is the target of a smear campaign intended to bring down a powerful figure. Others, however, find the mounting list of accusations to be too overwhelming to ignore.
That she saw no way out other than doing what he told her to do. He had mentally controlled her. It's like a pimp. Diddy had pimp potential. He had her mind messed up where it controlled her.
The possible involvement of additional well-known individuals adds to the complexity of this case. Numerous celebrities are purportedly included on the videos, and while their identities have not been formally confirmed, rumors about who they are circulating. Hollywood has been rocked by the speculation alone. It's nearly impossible to comprehend that some of the most adored celebrities in the business could be involved in such a scandal, But if the recordings are as damaging as Beers alleges, the fallout could be disastrous. It's a complex web of accusations, denials, and unresolved issues, and at its core is Kim Porter. Her life, legacy, and tragic death have become the main focus of a story that gets more and more getting more complicated every day, regardless of whether the tapes are as damning as they seem or whether the memoir is authentic. One thing is for sure, the truth exists and will eventually be revealed.
Do I think, yeah, there's no, every man possibly is capable. I think he's very capable of doing it. It's in his character. That's who he is. That's what comes with power. That's what comes with arrogance. That's what comes with, what makes him, power. That's just the selfishness to make you be like that.
Do I believe that every man is capable? I believe that he is very capable of doing it. It's in his character. That's what makes him, P. That's what comes with power. That's what comes with arrogance, and that's what makes you like that. As the legal battles continue and the public waits for answers, Diddy's attention doesn't seem to be waning. The music mogul, who was once untouchable, is now at the center of a scandal that could permanently redefine his legacy, and the stakes rise with each new revelation. The accusations become more shocking, the questions become more urgent, and what actually happened? In private, and will the truth ever surface?
So it's just another form to silence a man, to humble a person. You know how sometimes you gotta humble somebody?
You're right.
Yeah, I think he's being humbled right now, which it took a long time.
If you thought the allegations from Kim Porter's purported memoir were shocking, wait until you hear what's coming next. The tapes, the testimony, and the involvement of some of Hollywood's biggest names have turned the scandal into something that seems almost too crazy to be true. But this isn't a thriller film, it's real life, and the fallout is just getting started. The revelations against Diddy only get bigger, and the story gets darker and more twisted with every new detail.
And that really put their hands on women really is men who have feminine traits. So, it really takes a coward to put his hands on a woman. So, a man is so strong enough, we can just walk away. You can do, it's so many different things that you can do other than get upset, put your hands on a woman. But that comes from a man who's not quite a grown man.
The purported video that has now been turned over for investigation is among the most unsettling elements of this case. Courtney Burgess claims that the recordings, which were purportedly stored on flash drives that Kim Porter gave her, depict some of the most horrifying scenes imaginable. 8 well-known people, including 2 women and 6 men, are featured on the tapes and were all caught in compromising situations. What's even more concerning is the assertion that some of the participants were not in a state where they could fully comprehend what was going on around them. According to Burgess, the video depicts individuals who seem to be greatly impacted by outside forces, and their vulnerability is documented on camera for reasons we can only speculate that.
So he put his hands on females, put his hands on producers, executives. That's just his. I guess that's what the whole name Bad Boy comes from. That people don't really understand. What is it? What is a bad boy? Why did he choose that name? He never really gave a clear definition of how he feels about that name. Not yet.
Outside the courthouse, Burgess made a mysterious statement about the horrific content of these videos. When asked if the people featured knew what was happening, he hesitated before stating that all of them were victims in some way. He also added that the people on camera appeared confused, unsure, and completely unaware of the hidden cameras that were recording their every move. If the rumors about these people's identities are accurate, it could potentially rock the entertainment industry as a whole. But who are they? Although their identities have not been made public, Burgess's attorney, Ariel Mitchell, hinted that some of the people involved are bigger names than Diddy himself. Who could possibly be more well-known than Diddy at this point? The mind races with the potential, but one thing is certain: this scandal involves more than just one man. It could implicate some of Hollywood's most powerful people, so it makes sense that so many people are rushing to disassociate themselves from the controversy.
Wait a minute, say that again. Back up. You're saying that there's tapes and they're being shopped?
Yes, there have been people already shopping.
We've heard about the tapes, but
yes.
The shopping thing is...
Yes, there already have been tapes leaking around Hollywood, being shopped around to individuals in Hollywood. But one particular person contacted me to shop a particular video they were in possession of.
And the people who may have known about these activities but chose to keep quiet are also coming under increased scrutiny. Insiders are now questioning how so many people could have participated in these events without anyone coming forward sooner. Did people know what was going on? Were they complicit? Or were they too scared to speak out against someone as powerful as Diddy? Investigators are currently working to find answers to these issues, and the results could have significant ramifications.
I mean, that fact in of itself is a big deal, because when you're talking about going back in time and talking about these allegations from other alleged victims, you know, there's not a lot of police reports, but you guys actually have one. And is that going to be revealed? Are we going to be able to see it?
Yes, as soon as I file my lawsuit in civil court, I will be attaching the criminal complaint.
However, keep in mind that this is about more than just the tapes. It's also about the culture of quiet and cooperation that let these purported acts to continue for so long. As more information becomes available, it becomes more and more obvious that this wasn't a singular incident. Numerous sources have detailed a decades-long pattern of behavior in which Diddy allegedly used his power to foster an atmosphere in which anything and anybody was acceptable. In fact, some of Diddy's former associates are now coming forward with their own accounts, illuminating the toxic dynamics that existed behind the scenes. Mark Curry, a former performer on Diddy's Bad Boy Records label, has been among the most outspoken. Curry has publicly charged Diddy with fostering an environment where Curry stated in a recent interview that Diddy parties were notorious for their chaotic and frequently uncomfortable behavior, and that you couldn't go to one of those gatherings and leave the same person since there were no boundaries and people were treated as disposable. Curry claimed that Diddy had a practice of constantly watching his guests, which is consistent with the rumors of hidden cameras. He also described a degree of paranoia that pervaded Diddy's world, with the mogul allegedly going to great lengths to ensure that he always had the upper hand. He didn't trust anyone, Curry claimed, and the tapes were his insurance policy. Finally, there is the issue of Kim Porter herself. Porter's ex-partner has been outspoken about his belief that there is more to her story than meets the eye and has called for a thorough investigation, claiming that Porter had confided in him about her fears and the things she had witnessed during her time with Diddy. While her children and Diddy's legal team have rejected the claims made in her alleged memoir, others are taking them very seriously.
It's to be expected, just the shock of this and the questions about what is ahead of us. I mean, how long is he going to be in custody? Is this an R. Kelly situation? Is he going to not get out for a number of years? Is he going to end up serving a long-term prison sentence from this? Or does he have a chance of beating these charges at a trial that could come, within the next 2 years?
It's also important to note the timing of these revelations. With more than 100 lawsuits reportedly in the works, it appears that the tide has finally turned against Diddy. Diddy is currently dealing with a mountain of legal issues, including numerous lawsuits alleging a pattern of abusive behavior. One of the most well-known cases involves Cassie Ventura, his ex-partner, who accused him of coercion and physical harm during their relationship. Although that case has since been settled, it opened the door for other alleged victims to come forward.
It's a question of that, but when you read through the indictment, it's pretty clear who could be indicted as a co-conspirator. Right now, there are people in the indictment who would be considered unnamed co-conspirators, but clearly have played a role in this conspiracy. And I think prosecutors have some big leverage on them because they're hoping that they testify against Diddy as prosecution witnesses.
However, we must remember that this concerns more than one man. As more people come forward, it's becoming evident that Diddy's alleged behavior wasn't an exception but rather part of a system that puts profit and power above people. While investigators are now examining Diddy's world, they are also looking into the role that others may have played, including corporate entities, business partners, and even banks. These accusations have brought attention to a much larger issue within the entertainment industry, a culture of impunity that permits powerful figures to operate without accountability. The question is not only who was aware of these purported operations, but also who profited from them. Were there any organizations that chose to ignore them because they stood to gain? Were there those who assisted in concealing it? These are the questions that require answers, and the consequences could be severe. The public's response has been divided, with some demanding justice and accountability while others are continuing to defend Diddy claims that a smear campaign has been launched against him. With hashtags and popular subjects igniting discussions about whether these accusations are real or part of a bigger plot to overthrow a strong individual, social media has turned into a battlefield. However, as more information becomes available, it becomes increasingly difficult to reject the claims.
Has taken the internet by storm. It's allegedly packed with claims of physical harm, coercion, and deeply troubling behavior on Diddy's part. But here's the twist. Diddy's legal team has adamantly denied the book's authenticity, calling it a blatant fabrication. And, in a surprising turn, his children have publicly come forward to echo that sentiment, labeling the memoir as nothing more than a cruel hoax.
What his team is trying to do is get the public to assume that the government is leaking some of this negative information about him, like that Cassie video. But the reality is, he's got a lot.
What is certain is that this story is far from over, with the tapes now in the hands of investigators and more lawsuits on the horizon. The entertainment industry will never be the same as the public waits for answers, and this isn't just about Diddy, it's about a culture of exploitation that has been allowed to flourish for far too long and is now finally being exposed. As the Diddy scandal continues to develop, the questions only get more pressing. Do you think the memoir attributed to Kim Porter is real, or is it a fabrication intended to damage Diddy's reputation? What about the tapes? Implicate some of the most well-known figures in Hollywood, or is this all a complex hoax? Leave a comment below with your opinions, and remember to like, share, and subscribe for more updates on this unfolding narrative. Until the next time, stay interested.